What happened? Did you miss your plane?
I didn't have to wait that long, did I? You were over here first thing in the morning, weren't you, Chief?
Now, wait a minute. Nicole and I planned this meeting last night. We're going to tour the police facilities, do some videotape.
Tour the facilities. That's a cute way of putting it. That's very cute.
Miles, what's the matter with you?
You're disappointed, aren't you? You're disappointed that I missed my plane? Spoiled your rendezvous?
Oh, wait a minute, Miles. I know what you're getting at, and it sounds stupid. This isn't a rendezvous.
Just leave, Derek. I'm not feeling terribly responsible this morning, and I don't want to start off the day by assaulting the chief of police. That wouldn't be too wise, would it?
I'm not leaving unless your wife asks me to.
Derek, please go. Listen, I'll call you later about the program, okay?
That's right, Derek. Please go. My wife will call you later about the program, okay?
Sure everything will be all right? You know, I hate to leave you here with...
What, with her husband?
Miles, cool down. You've worked yourself into this state for no reason at all.
Miles, for heaven's sake, how could you say that to him? How could you say that about me?
Isn't it obvious? I wasn't out of the house 5 minutes before you had your new lover over here.
My lover? Are you crazy? Honey, you must have heard us talking about this field trip last night.
I don't need to listen to your damn whispers. I knew what you were up to before I heard anything. Without hearing it, that's why I pretended there was that field trip out of town. That you were overjoyed, both you and Derek, alone at last.
Stop it!
Made one tiny mistake. Should have given you a little more time. Should have given you an extra couple of minutes so you could have both gotten upstairs. No, you're probably much happier down here, weren't you? So you wouldn't disturb the little kid.
God.
Wait a second. Just wait a second. I've got more to tell you.
Listen, I have to take care of Adam. Leave it to me. You let go of me, please.
Nicole.
No, I'm sorry, she's still in that meeting. You sure you don't want to leave a message? No, I don't know exactly when the meeting will be over, but it should be soon. Yes, I will. Oh, boy, what a day.
One thing after another.
There you are. Well, I don't have to make this one out, which makes the second call you have missed this morning from Elliot.
Don't worry about it, darling. I intend to miss the third, fourth, fifth, and all the rest of them.
He sounded very anxious to talk to you.
Darling, the word is not anxious. The word is frantic. He simply can't bring himself to believe that I meant what I said, that I was not going to divorce him.
I don't believe it either.
But look at it this way, darling. I'm merely honoring my marriage vows, you know, till death do us part. And we're an absolute island of stability in the midst of all these crumbling marriages all around. And besides, I'm getting the satisfaction of preventing Elliot from hurting that other woman.
Oh, come off that one, Margot.
All right. All right, if you will pour me a cup of tea, I will admit that my motives are not all that noble. But the action is satisfying.
Well, all it appears to me is that you are still saddled with being Mrs. Elliot Dorn.
I intend to take care of that too, darling, in due time. I mean, as soon as I'm sure the wedding plans are off, I intend to call my lawyer and have him do the proper thing.
Margot, do you honestly believe that this thing between Nola and Elliot is going to end simply because he cannot get a divorce?
Oh, of course it will, darling. I'm sure of it. Well, you don't think he's desperately in love with that woman, do you?
No, I don't.
All right, then. As soon as he realizes he can't officially get his hands on her money and her property, then he'll call the whole thing off. She will be dropped like the proverbial hot potato.
I'm sure that's him again.
Well, just tell him that I am in conference for the next 6 months.
Thanks a lot. Hello. Oh, thank you, Miss Draper. Hi, honey.
Oh, hi, baby. Look, something's come up, hon, and I've got to go out of town on some business.
Out of town where?
New York. Anna got me a seat on the 11 o'clock plane, so I don't have too much time to talk to you.
Well, wait a second. Wait a second. You just can't run off like that.
Honey, I don't have any choice. I've already scheduled one business meeting for this afternoon. Actually, I've got 2 meetings. The first one's not business, but it's just as important to me.
Well, who's it with?
April, I got a letter from David Henson's widow.
Is this... Well, what did she say?
She said that she knows what her husband did to me, and she wants to talk to me about it, to try to explain it. Maybe the man made a deathbed confession. I don't know.
Wait a minute, Draper. I don't understand why this whole thing is so important to you.
I have to go, April. I said I have client business, and this way I have a chance to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Well, 1 ticket, anyway.
Draper, listen. Remember this morning I told you about the dream I had last night about your just taking off and leaving town. Don't you understand? You're making my dream come true.
I told you that you were dreaming about Miles. You weren't dreaming about me. Look, I'm not going to go to New York overnight. I'll be back as soon as I can. 8, 9 o'clock
I
at the
still wish
latest.
you wouldn't go.
Hey, what's going on? I mean, all morning Mike's been talking me out of this trip. Now you're giving me a hard time. Don't you people realize that this woman knows something about what happened? About why Henson was so determined to keep me from getting that job in New York?
Determined to forget about this whole
And it's going to be a lot easier to forget once I know the truth. And this is my chance to find it. Honey, try to understand, please.
I do understand.
All right. Look, I have to get going. I'll call you from New York if I can. But if I don't, please don't worry. I'll be back in time for a late dinner. And just think of all the interesting table conversation we'll have tonight.
Yeah.
All right, baby. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Sounds like your husband's going someplace.
Yeah, he, has got a meeting out of town. Says, he should be back by tonight.
Why do you find it so upsetting, darling?
Margot, maybe we can talk about it a little later. I have to go get the locks.
Called the hospital to order the x-rays. Also asked Dr. Corwin to take a look at her.
She's in good hands. Just relax.
He's supposed to call back here, so I'm going to have to follow you to the
Let's get her out of here,
all right?
Jay. Careful about with it going through the door. Okay. Watch your head. Slowly. Slowly.
Start leaking now. Hello?
Miles, is that you? What are you doing home? I thought you had already left for Center City this morning.
No, I missed my plane, so I came back here. April, I can't talk now.
Oh, no, that's all right. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to Nicole. See, I just found out Draper's got to go out of town tonight, and, well, I might be alone, and I thought, well, maybe Nicole could have dinner. But then again, if you're home, then she's not going to be alone.
April, there's been an accident.
What?
Nicole tripped on the stairs and fell, and she hit her head. They just took her to the hospital in an ambulance.
Is it serious?
I don't know. She's not conscious. I've asked the best man in Monticello to take a look at her, but he's supposed to call me back. That's why I can't stay on the phone.
All right, Miles, look, I'm heading over to the hospital right away. I'll meet you there.
Miles, I heard the emergency report on my car radio. What happened?
This is not a police matter, Derek. I called an ambulance. I didn't call the cops.
I came back because I was concerned.
Nicole tripped and fell on the stairs, and she cut her head and probably's got a concussion.
A few minutes ago when I just left here, you were in a pretty foul mood, Doctor.
What is that, an accusation?
No, it's an observation.
Are you implying that what happened here is not an accident? Or you're just gonna have to wait till she regains consciousness and ask her, she'll tell you the whole thing?
Will she?
You'll probably be the first one she wants to see, as a matter of fact.
Damn it, Miles, what's the matter with you? Have you gone out of your mind? Bursting in here like a jealous husband out of a comic opera, accusing Nicole of something she
Well, we're both probably making too many accusations this morning. Maybe we just should cool it. Maybe you should go back to your warm little office down at headquarters and just take care of things there and let me handle things here in my own house.
There's something very strange about the way you're handling things, Miles. And if I had the jurisdiction, you'd be seeing the police
Well,
psychiatrist
you
right
don't
now.
have the jurisdiction, do you?
Where'd they send her? Monticello General? How come you didn't go along with the ambulance?
We have a child in the house, you remember? Housekeeper didn't get here. I'm trying to get a hold of her.
What is this?
A bottle fell off.
There was no bottle up here. This bottle came from that
Damn
box
it!
there.
Just get out of here! And one more thing! Stay away from her!
Anything I can do for you in New York, Mike?
Sounds like you've got enough to do, Draper.
Right. I called Mrs. Henson. She said to call her from the airport. She'll see me as soon as she can.
What time is your meeting with Stein Associates?
4 o'clock. Don't worry, I'll make it plenty of time. Mike, thanks a lot for trying to understand how I feel about this.
Draper?
Yeah.
I hope that you'll be understanding when you talk to Mrs. Henson.
Of course I will, Mike.
Yes, Anna? Oh, of course. Hi, darling.
You'll never guess where I am.
I gather that means you're not at the office waiting to have lunch with me.
I wish I was. Unfortunately, the story I'm covering down on South Adams has taken up a lot more time than I expected, Mike. You know, frankly, I doubt if it's going to be found as a crime anyway.
It wasn't a kidnapping?
Well, I suspect that the kidnapped child is with his father, whose estranged wife is trying to get back at him. But anyway, darling, it's a long way around saying that I'm in a phone booth on the corner of Wilkins and South Adams, and I don't think I'll be able to get uptown in time for a lunch date.
I'll wait for you. We can have lunch a bit later. Oh, incidentally, it looks like all our efforts to save Draper from learning the truth about Margot will be wasted. He's heading for New York right now to talk to Mrs. Henson, which means that by this evening, he'll know the truth anyway.
Oh, that's just great.
Nancy?
Someone wants to use the phone, Mike. Penny Hayes!
Now you can talk to me, Mrs. Carr. I've been waiting to talk to you alone, lady, you know? Who would have guessed you would have come all the way downtown just to see me?
I'm here on business for the newspaper. What are you doing here?
Me? I live here, around the corner. My old man owns a flower shop there, you know. Only I'm running it now, see, because he's got a bad leg. He doesn't get out much.
Yeah, I know all about that bad leg. It was a gunshot, wasn't it?
You know, I couldn't believe when I saw you get out of the car and come into this phone booth, you know? I mean, you're not easy to miss, lady, you know that? You're a very attractive woman, you know?
Benny, look, don't make me late, all right? Because you're already in enough trouble as it is.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to talk to you about, is my trouble, see? Everything was fine, you know, even though I was under indictment. Those possession raps, they don't mean a thing.
Look, I know that you think I told the police about the $500 that you took from me.
I didn't take nothing from you. I gave you a hot news item for that money.
You gave me lies.
Yeah, and you ran to the police, huh? Even though you told me you'd, what'd you say, protect your source? Huh? Boy, that was some lie,
I did protect you, Benny. I didn't tell anybody about you.
You just remembered something, huh? Huh? You told your husband, huh? The big guy at Terry's place. Yeah. You let him blow the whistle, and then you'd get off looking like you didn't do a thing, little Miss Innocent.
Let me out of here!
You lied to me, lady, and you're gonna pay for it. Big.
Oh, all right, what do you want?
What I want is for you to tell them that you gave me the money for the story I gave you, right? Right? And then just to make sure it's all straight, we're gonna put it in writing. Huh?
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell them what happened and why it happened. Just get me out of here.
No. You're gonna write it now, and I'm gonna read it, and then you're gonna sign it. We can do it right in that diner over there, okay? And if you're a good little girl, Mrs. Carr, I'll buy you a hamburger, huh? And don't make me have to hurt you.
course, come right in.
April.
It's a light concussion, but she'll be fine.
What about the bandage?
It's all right. It's just a few stitches. You probably won't even have a scar. Dr. Corwin is better with a needle and thread than a French couturier.
Is it a bad cut?
No, not really. It's close to the hairline, so her hair will cover it up.
What happened?
You'll have to ask your friend. I'll see you later.
Thank you. What happened?
It was an accident, April. It was just a stupid accident. It wasn't his fault.
Whose fault?
Is Miles with you?
No, he's not. I'm sure he's on his way.
Are you sure? I want to see him. He must be feeling awful.
Why? Nicole, what happened? I spoke to Miles. He said he missed his plane.
He never intended to go anywhere. It was just a trick. He wanted to trick me.
Trick you why?
Derek Mallory came over to the house. It was just for business. He came because we're going to go to the police academy. Miles came in like a madman.
Like a madman, Miles?
He accused me of... Listen, I can't even say it. It's unbelievable. I love him so much. How could he even think that?
It's okay. It's okay.
April, he's really sick.
My fault, Mrs. Goodman. I did tell Nicole that I would call you and ask you to come over this morning. It just slipped my mind. A lot of things have slipped my mind lately.
Boy, I really feel lousy about it, Doc. And now you tell me Mrs. C is in the hospital?
That's all right. I just spoke to the doctor in charge of her case, and he says she's going to be fine, just fine.
Yeah, but
You want to get over there, don't you? Look, I'll get a cab in 2 minutes. I'll be there right away.
I really appreciate that, Mrs. Goodman.
Oh, look, Doc, you people are like my family. You know that. And look, as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to go over to see the missus at the hospital.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodman. Goodbye. Still here?
Oh, yes, still here. Enjoying myself. You have no idea how much fun I'm having, Miles.
Yes, I do.
Well, just take a look at yourself. You look perfectly dreadful. You've got blood all over your shirt. Miles, you can't go out like that, you know.
No, I can't. Get out of my way.
No. No, I really can't let you go up there, Miles. Really, it's for your own good. Honestly, you wouldn't like what you saw.
Get out of my way. Get out of my mind.
Shirley should be getting some sleep now.
I better go.
No, don't. Please don't leave me. Not until Miles gets here.
Nicole, you heard what the nurse said? Look, I'll come back later, I promise, okay?
I want to see Miles. I have to make sure he's all right.
Is something wrong with me? I can't stay here. If I stay here, I know I'll hurt her. I know I will.
several hours this morning.
It's
Walnut
not
Street,
right.
USA,
Okay,
resembles
hold on.
Venice, Italy.
Oh,
That's what I meant. Oh,
I'm sorry.
darling, you know, if you do want to see me told, before the visiting hours are over, I suggest you get a move on.
Margot, I really can't do that right now. We're swamped with work.
To tell you the truth, ever since we had the news about the accident, you have been so preoccupied that your valued assistant has been slightly less than valuable.
I'm really sorry. I am concerned.
I know you are, darling. Look, as soon as you get to the hospital, call me and give me a first-hand account. I'm kind of worried, too.
Thanks. I will. Look, I will be right back right after visiting hours are over.
No, that's not necessary, darling. Go home.
No, I don't want to go home. I mean, go and stare at four walls. You know, God, what a time for Draper to go.
Well, he's coming home this evening, didn't he say?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wish he hadn't gone.
Oh, darling, wait a minute. Do me a favor. Tell Mary to stop all calls. I've just got to get a timing on that newscast.
Okay, no problem. I'll see you later.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let's see. For several hours this morning, Walnut Street, USA resembled Venice, Italy, as a water main break made the avenue better suited for travel by gondola than by automobile. But, Mary, for heaven's sake, didn't April tell you to hold... Oh, all right, fine, thank you. Well, hello, Mrs. Madison.
Hello, Mrs. Dawn. How are you?
What can I do for you? I am busy.
Well, we do have something to discuss.
Oh, do we?
Yes, I'm sure you're aware of the topic.
Mrs. Madison, I don't like to sound rude, but I had got to get a newscast ready for this afternoon, and I really do not have the time.
Oh, well, then I'd be quite willing to come by the studio and wait until you do have a free moment.
Well, I just don't see the point.
This is very important to me. Besides, the sooner this is settled, the better, for all concerned.
Well, all right, if you must.
Mrs. Henson, this is Mr. Scott. I'm at LaGuardia. My plane just arrived.
You certainly didn't waste any time getting here, Mr. Scott.
Well, from your letter, I got the impression that you and I had something very important to discuss.
You have my address. You're welcome to come over here as soon as you can.
Yes, Mrs. Goodman, they're taking real good care of me here. I promise you. I'm fine. How's Adam? Oh, good. Good. Miles left with the suitcase? Oh, I guess he must be bringing some of my things over. Listen, tell Adam that Mommy gives him a big kiss and I love him a lot, and then we'll be home real soon, okay? Bye, Mrs. Goodman. Thank you.
Come in.
Oh, Miles.
No, but it's your friendly neighborhood chief of police.
Oh, Derek, hello.
If you're not in a mood for company, I understand. I can come back later.
Oh, no, come on in. Hi.
I brought you some flowers. Thought maybe that would cheer you up a little bit.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
How do you feel? What's the verdict on your injury?
Oh, it's just a concussion, a few stitches. Dr. Corwin has promised me his best needlework. It's not even going to show.
Nicole, I want to tell you I'm really sorry about all this. About what happened back at your place and about this accident.
I'm sorry too, Derek.
You know I went back there.
You did? Why?
Well, after I left, I heard the ambulance distress call on my radio. Wanted to go back to see if there's something I could do. By the time I got there, you'd already been taken away.
Did you see Miles?
Yes? Well, he seemed very worried about you. Nicole, tell me exactly what happened after I left.
Well, as you said, it was an accident.
I can't believe the two of you didn't have words after his accusation.
Of course we did. But not very many. Adam started to cry, and I ran upstairs to see him, and I just guess I ran too quickly, and I tripped.
Where was Miles when this happened?
I tripped, Derek. I don't think anything else because it isn't true.
You're sure you're telling me the truth? You're not just saying this to protect your...
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Look, in my experience, it's not unusual for a woman who's been beaten by her husband to claim it's her own
Derek, I'm not a battered wife. Please, please, don't make anything worse than it is.
And you admit that things aren't good between you.
I didn't say that. It's true that Miles hasn't been himself lately. I think it's just overwork. But it doesn't mean that we've been arguing or quarreling or anything like that.
Nicole, this morning your husband came into the house like an avenging angel, accusing us of
I
having an
know,
affair.
Derek. I'm sorry. Please, please. I don't want to talk about this now.
It's okay, I understand. Where is Miles?
Why do you ask?
Well, I would think a concerned husband would want to be at his wife's side at a time like this.
He's going to be here any minute.
I see. And maybe I better go. Oh, wait, there's something else. When I was back at the house, I noticed a broken bottle.
A bottle?
A bottle of whiskey from the bar table. Looked like it had been thrown across the room and hit the fireplace.
Derek, Miles didn't throw anything to me. I mean, you've got to believe that. This was an accident.
Hurry it up, lady. I ain't got all day.
I'm trying. It isn't easy with you watching over my shoulder all the time.
Yeah, well, you ain't writing the great American novel.
Listen, Benny. Benny, you said you wanted all the facts. You don't want me to forget anything.
You know you owe me this, don't you, lady, huh? I mean, after the trick you tried to pull?
If
huh?
I had, I would have reported you and you would have been arrested.
Yeah, well, I don't have to worry about that now, huh? Your little note, it's gonna be my insurance policy. Let's see what you got.
Just out of curiosity, what would you have done if I refused to write that?
You don't want to know, lady. To whom it may concern, Mr. Benny Hayes, oh, I like the sound of that, yeah, and Mrs. Nancy Carr entered into an agreement in which she contracted with Mr. Hayes to have him supply certain information to be used as background material for an article for the Monticello News. In return, Mr. Hayes was to be paid the sum of $500. Mr. Hayes satisfactorily supplied said information and was willingly paid his fee. Good.
That's what you wanted.
Yes.
All right.
All you gotta do is sign it.
Just a minute, Nancy. Sure you wouldn't like to have a lawyer look at that first?
So I finally meet the old man.
Mr. Hayes, my purpose in coming here is to make sure that no harm comes to my wife.
Well, she's just fine. Why don't you go back to where you came from?
Mike, how did you find me?
By the time I got to the phone booth, you were gone. I saw your car, then I noticed this diner. I figured you might have decided to stay in the neighborhood. Has Mr. Hayes been behaving himself?
He had me sign a statement saying that he had gotten the $500 legitimately.
Yeah, well, that's just to let Chief Mallory know all the rumors he's been hearing ain't true.
Sort of a disclaimer?
Yeah, you can call it that.
And it's a good thing I happened along.
That's a matter of opinion, mister.
Well, it could be advantageous to you as well, Benny.
What are you talking about?
Well, you wouldn't want that to be worthless because of some legal technicality, would you?
Hey.
Just as I thought. This would never stand up in court.
Why not?
That's not worth the paper it's written on.
What are you talking about? She put her name on it.
It has to be witnessed.
So you
Benny.
sign it. Here. Come on.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Benny. In its present form, there's nothing in it to indicate that she signed it of her own free will. You could have forced her to write this, threatened her with harm if she refused to comply.
She wanted to write the note. Hey, you tell him that. Come on.
You know what I think? I think it was written under duress, and that's a crime in and of itself.
Oh, please, no! Stop it! No, Mike! Please! No!
What's the hurry, Benny? Is this the guy, Mr. Carr?
That's him. Benny Hayes. He was worth waiting for, wasn't he?
Yeah, I've tangled with Benny before. Now it looks like we've got him on an assault charge.
Sure is pretty outside. You know, this beats watching the snow fall from my living room window. Except it does make the alley look kind of nice.
Yeah, well, the way it's coming down, we're gonna be able to make a lot more snowmen for our little friend outside.
I haven't had so much fun making snowmen playing in the snow since I was a kid.
Well, there's nothing like the great outdoors.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think being indoors with you is pretty great.
Hot chocolate. It's so peaceful here, Steve. It's like everything bad is a million miles away. We don't have to think about any of it.
I know what I want to think about, and that's you. For the rest of the weekend, only you.
So glad you asked me to come up here. Oh, I can't tell you how happy I am.
Good. I think when we get back to civilization, I'm going to have to buy Robbie Moskowitz a nice gift for letting us use his place this weekend. How about an electric can opener?
Oh. We were lucky Chief Mallory let us to get the same days off.
Oh. I think we could stay here forever.
Goodness. I think we can, too. Look at how it's coming down out there.
Yeah, it's starting to pile up.
You know, you went out for firewood not more than an hour ago, and it's already covered up. Look at that.
Yeah,
The
well,
tracks, they're not even there.
At least snow here doesn't turn into all that gray slush we get back home. This will stay pretty like this for days.
I want to get a forecast.
Hey, wait a minute. I thought we agreed. No contact with the outside world over here.
No, I just want to get a weather
The
report.
white stuff are expected to blanket the area before it's over. Due to the intensity of the storm, a traveler's advisory has been posted. By nightfall, dropping temperatures and blown snow should make most roads impassable. Highway Commissioner Harry Peterson says that once the snow stops, his crew will be out to clear the roads.
8 to 10 inches, Steve.
Who
Sounds like a
cares?
blizzard to me.
Oh, let it snow. Come on, I got you to keep me warm.
Steve,
Oh, look, I've never been snowbound before. I think it's exciting.
It's not like we're going to wake up tomorrow and school's going to be canceled, you know. We're not going to be able to get out of the cabin.
No, somebody up there likes me.
We may be stuck here for days.
Oh, well, we've got plenty of food. If we run out of firewood, we'll have to just snuggle up close together and keep ourselves warm.
That's not the point.
Wait a minute, I thought that's what we both wanted, total privacy.
We have to be back at work day after tomorrow.
Robbie will tell the chief where we are.
I don't think it's right to take advantage of this situation. I don't think so, and you don't think so either, do you?
What do you suppose we should do?
I think we ought to get back into the car and get back to town before the roads get worse.
What, some kind of a romantic weekend, one day.
have more time together in the future. I promise.
Under one condition.
What?
We sneak back into Monticello and not tell anybody we're there.
Why?
Well, that way we can hide out at your apartment for the rest of the weekend. I'm not ready to share you with anybody yet. What do you say?
It's a deal.
Good. I'll put out our fire.
Although I think it would be a good idea to call headquarters and find out what's going on.
Well, that's what I get for dating a cop.
You know what I think this all boils down to, Mrs. Madison?
Thank you. Oh, please, do call me Nola. I thought we were friends.
All right, Nola. You know what I think it all boils down to? It all boils down to the fact that I have something that you seem to think you want.
Well, in a manner of speaking. But I thought it was something that you were perfectly willing to get rid of.
Well, I must admit that I do not find Elliot's company all that charming anymore.
Well, then.
Does not mean that I'm quite prepared to divorce him.
But isn't that the next logical step?
Is it?
Darling, aren't these things simply a matter of chemistry? Your chemistry didn't work with Elliot's, and so you did the sensible thing and parted company.
And you think that you have just the right chemistry, is that it?
Well, it's unfortunate that you and Elliot didn't work out, but that's hardly any reason to block our happiness.
Happiness? Oh, my dear lady, do you honestly expect to find happiness as Mrs. Elliot Dorn?
Look, darling, I have no great illusions about marriage. How could I? But I think it's a risk that's reasonable.
Would you like a little advice?
Not the kind you're about to give me, I'm sure.
Well, that's too bad. Because, to be absolutely frank with you, the only reason I agreed to have this meeting was to have the opportunity to tell you not to let Elliot make a complete fool out of you.
I see.
Because that's what he's going to do, you know. I mean, history has a way of repeating itself, and this is a classic example. He's going to make a fool out of you, Nola, just the way he made a fool out of me.
Look, with all due respect, Margot, we are two different people.
Oh, are we? I don't think so, no, not to Elliot. We are not different at all. We are two mature, lonely, and surprisingly vulnerable women.
I don't think I care to listen to this.
Two rather wealthy women, as it turns out. But for heaven's sake, face it, the man is a money-grubbing opportunist. That love you see pouring from his eyes is love, all right. It's love of your money.
You're speaking out of your own bitterness, Margot.
Speaking out of experience, for heaven's sake. I'm doing you a favor by refusing to divorce Elliot.
Are you sure you're not refusing the divorce merely because you're jealous?
You haven't heard a word I've said. All right. Just do me one little favor, would you? One more thing. When you talk to Elliot, tell him we had this little chat. And tell him that there's not one chance in a million that he's ever going to get a divorce. Tell him that he's never going to be able to make you his loving wife, and see how he reacts.
Look, he's already heard your decision. I was hoping I could change it.
Oh, I bet I know exactly what he said. I bet he said, "Oh, Nola, my darling, I love you far too much to be anything less to you than your loving husband." He did say that, didn't he? So predictable. That's because he's old-fashioned, you see. He's just old-fashioned enough to know that without being your legal husband, he will have no legal claim to your money.
Look, I've heard enough of this.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, woman, the man is a liar and a thief. I'm trying to warn you.
Look, if you loathe him so much, darling, get rid of him.
No, I can't. I can't be that cruel. You know, you're a very lucky woman, Nola, because as soon as he realizes that I am deadly serious, he might just do you the favor of getting rid of you.
In your letter, you mentioned the fact that your husband spoke of me on his deathbed.
He told me how much he'd hurt you.
Are you aware that your husband was the only member of the firm to veto my appointment? And I wanted that job very badly.
Not many young men faced with such a disappointment would be as restrained as you.
No, I was very bitter.
I hope you won't misunderstand me, Mr. Scott. I love my husband very much. But he was a man of many faults. David had his share of mistakes. Unfortunately, he was not the only one who was hurt by them.
What are you trying to say to me?
David was a man with a conscience. The way he treated you caused him a great deal of anguish in his last days. He made me promise to talk to you.
What did he have against me?
He had nothing against you, Mr. Scott. If it had been up to David, you probably would have been given that job.
Then why didn't he give me the job?
David's actions were far from arbitrary. At the time, he felt he had very strong motivations for rejecting you.
Then you know the reason.
David was nothing more than a pawn. He was being forced to hurt you.
By whom?
Well, I suppose it's a kindness to let you know that someone so close to you could do such a terrible thing.
Mrs. Henson, please tell me.
It was your mother-in-law. Margot Huntington saw to it that you never got that job. If it had been up to David, more than likely you would have gotten that job.
Why didn't I get the job?
David's actions were far from arbitrary. At the time, he felt he had very strong motivations for rejecting you.
Then you know the reason.
David was nothing more than a pawn. He was being forced to hurt you.
By whom?
Well, I suppose it's a kind of kindness to let you know that someone as close to you could do such a
Mrs.
terrible...
Henson, please tell me.
It was your mother-in-law. Margot Huntington saw to it that you never got that job.
Margot? Why? How?
Well, at first it started off as advice from a friend. But it ended up being something very evil.
Mrs. Henson, I know that Margot and your husband were acquainted, but that was years ago.
Acquainted? They certainly were acquainted. That was about 10, 15 years ago when Margot had her business in New York. My husband was her legal advisor.
Go on, please.
Well, in those days, David considered himself quite a ladies' man. He used to swear that they were nothing more than business associates. But I was aware that he and Margot had had a bit of a fling. I wonder how Margot would feel if she knew that she were just one of many.
But what does that have to do with this situation?
Well, when you were first being considered for that position in David's firm, Margot contacted David. Out of friendship, she insisted that he reject you, that he not hire you. She said that you were not qualified for the job with such responsibility.
I'm a damn fine lawyer, and Margot knows that.
Well, be that as it may, but David felt that he ought to trust someone else.
But then he changed his mind and offered me a second interview.
Well, David's partners were very upset when he rejected you without even an interview.
Well, they all approved of me.
And they put certain pressures on David, as did his conscience. Now, when he realized how badly he was hurting you, he reconsidered and rescheduled the interview.
But then he changed that interview, too.
Your mother-in-law got wind of David's change of heart. This time, she called David and forced him to cancel the interview.
How?
She threatened him. She told him that if he hired you, she would arrange her own little meeting with me to discuss old times.
You mean she would have tried to break up your marriage?
Well, she wouldn't have been telling me anything I didn't already know.
But that's blackmail.
Of course. But in spite of David's roving eye, he did love me. And he didn't want to hurt me. He wanted to protect me at all costs. Unfortunately, you turned out to be the big loser.
Mrs. Henson, I wish I could say I didn't believe this, but knowing Margot...
Well, my husband may have been a weakling, but your mother-in-law is a monster.
Margot has no regrets, I'm sure. She got exactly what she wanted.
David told me this had something to do with your wife.
It has everything to do with April. Now I understand completely why Margot made sure that I was rejected for that job.
But what could she possibly have gained?
Mrs. Henson, the distance between Monticello and New York is far too great for Margot's liking. If I don't get a job with Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside, then there's no need for us to move to New York.
She doesn't want you to live here?
Oh, she could care less where I live. She just couldn't stand being so far away from April.
I gather she and her daughter are rather close.
Margot came into April's life 25 years too late. And she's been doting on her.
Well, that's not unusual. I have a daughter of my own, Mr. Scott. I grow more and more fond of her as I go older.
April is the only person in Margot's life right now. And believe me, Margot would kill to make sure she stays there.
Well, she hardly did anything as bad as that.
No? She killed my chances for getting the best job I was ever offered. Maybe a job I'll never be offered again.
Oh, I doubt that very much. From what I understand, your qualifications...
Come, Mrs. Henson, you know as well as I do that jobs like this aren't offered every day. And Margot knew it too, and she didn't give a damn, as long as she got just what she wanted.
You had no inkling of the kind of woman she is.
Oh, I've had demonstrations before, Mrs. Henson, but I certainly didn't know this.
Well, I wish I hadn't known. It was bad enough knowing I was going to lose my husband. But seeing him suffering so from guilt because of that woman and
You're
her
absolutely
blackmail.
right, Mrs. Henson. Margot is a monster. She cares about nothing but herself, and she never has.
What are you going to do about it, Mr. Scott?
I don't know. I don't know.
I hope I haven't made things worse by telling you. It just didn't seem right to leave this crime unnoticed.
No, Mrs. Henson. Believe me, I appreciate everything. You'll excuse me, I really have to leave.
I'm sure tea's ready by now.
I don't think I could handle any tea right now. I should take a long walk to try to cool myself down. I have another meeting this afternoon.
Of course. I'm truly sorry to see you so upset.
Thank you very much. I really have to.
Seasonal temperatures with only a 20% chance of precipitation will prevail with greater Monticello vicinity for the next 24 hours. And we were lucky. If the cold front which swept through our region moved slightly to the south, we'd be digging out from a major snowstorm, as our neighbors in the northern sectors of Graham County are doing at this very moment. As of this hour, 8 to 10 inches of snow have fallen, with even greater accumulations expected in the northern parts of the state. Due to icy road conditions and blowing snow, Interstate 73 has been closed from exits 9 to 23. But snow removal crews promise that the entire length of the road will be open by morning. If you're in that area and must drive, please do so with great caution. I'd like to end tonight's broadcast with a personal note. The reason I'm at the news desk tonight, substituting for our regular anchor person, Nicole Gray, is because Nicole was the victim of an accident in her home earlier today. Fortunately, we are happy to report the injury seems slight and Nicole should be released from the hospital in short order. We just want you to know, Nicole, that everyone here at WMON wishes you a speedy recovery, and we hope to see you in front of the cameras very soon. I'll be back with more news at 11. I hope to see you then. Until then, this is for WMON, Margot Huntington, with all the news you need to know.
Miles.
Hi.
I've been so worried about you.
You're the one who's in the hospital.
It's past visiting hours, you know.
Yeah, well, we doctors get special privileges. How are you feeling?
Much better now that you're here. I've been expecting you for hours.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I really am.
Wanted you with me.
You know, I've been calling the hospital every few minutes. Ever since you were admitted, I was so relieved when Dr. Corwin told me it was just a mild concussion.
Didn't you want to come and find out firsthand?
Yeah, of course I did, but there wasn't really anything I could do to help you here.
Oh, I see. Where have you been?
Oh, I went to the office. I thought I could be of more use to some of the patients that I had scheduled. I mean, some really needed treatment.
I see.
It's not true. I mean, I did go to the office, but I went there because I couldn't come here and face you, not after what I did.
You didn't do anything. It was just an accident.
Nicole, we both know better than that.
Adam started to cry, and I went up the stairs, and I tripped,
Who
and I
grabbed
fell.
your arm? Who made you lose your balance and fall?
Honey, you didn't mean to do that.
I was the cause of it. If I hadn't been arguing with you, if I hadn't made that accusation about you and Derek,
You realize that that wasn't true.
I couldn't help it. I haven't been myself lately.
Can you talk about it? Honey, you have me so frightened.
You're not the only one. God knows what other accidents I'll cause if things go on this way.
It won't happen again.
No, you're right, it won't. Nicole, I've moved out of the house. I packed a bag this morning and I checked into the Monticello Arms.
But why? Why are you doing
Because
this?
I've got to pull myself together, and I think the best way is for me to do it all by myself.
Miles!
Don't you understand? I don't understand what's wrong.
Well, I know what's wrong with you. It's stress. You've been working too hard. You need rest.
Maybe it's something physical. Maybe it's something else.
Then check into a hospital.
No,
Moving out isn't the answer.
I can't bear the thought that I might cause you or Adam any harm. That's why I have to get away for a little while.
Honey,
Don't you
please
understand?
don't do this.
I don't have any choice about this.
I'm not gonna let you walk out on me.
Don't make it any more difficult than it already is.
We
Please.
took a vow. Do you remember? In sickness and in health.
I've got to do this, Nicole. I don't know what's wrong with me. Whatever it is, it's dangerous to you. I'm a danger to you. See the stitches in your forehead? I'm responsible for those. I never wanted to hurt you, but I did. And if I stay on in that house, if we keep on being together the way I am now, the way I feel now, I might cause something worse, and that is why I have to leave. I have to.
I don't want you to go. I love you.
I love you too. More than I can ever tell you.
No.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh,
Need your signature here.
By
By
the
the way, I saw the news tonight. Really good.
Oh, thank you very much. When did you get back?
Oh, well, I was with Nicole all afternoon for visiting hours. As soon as they were over, they just whisked me right out of the place.
How's she feeling?
Well, her
Head still throbs a bit, but the doctors assure her that she'll be fine.
Well, I hope they keep a close eye on her. Head injuries can be pretty tricky things.
Yeah, well, all the tests came back negative, and they're even talking about releasing her tomorrow morning.
Hey, that's good news. That must have lifted her spirits.
Well, I don't know. She's still feeling kind of down.
Why?
Miles, Margot, he didn't show up at the hospital all day today, not once.
Oh, that is strange.
And that is the word that describes Miles' behavior lately.
Darling, he must have realized that it was a superficial injury and some medical emergency probably came up. I'm sure there's a logical explanation.
I certainly hope so.
Oh, maybe this is good news. Margot Huntington.
Oh, Margot, it's Geraldine Saxon calling. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time.
No, not at all.
You said I might reach you right after you got off the air.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, things have been so hectic around here, I'd forgotten completely I told you to call.
Now, if you're too busy this evening, we can make it another time.
Oh, no, darling. As a matter of fact, it'd do me good to get out of the studio for a little while. Only I do have to be back in time for the 11 o'clock news.
You know, ever since you proposed making me WMON's political analyst for 1980's elections, I've become more and more excited at the prospect.
And I'm sure you'd do a terrific job for us.
Well, I certainly hope so. What's on the agenda for tonight?
Just going over with you the format for the program, because I want you to be completely comfortable.
Well, I've made a reservation at the Coach House for 8 o'clock. Is that all right?
That's perfect.
Fine. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Excuse me, are you, you are? You're Geraldine Saxon. You're the political analyst on WMON?
Oh, no.
Say, could I have your autograph? It's not for me. It's a son of mine. He thinks you're the bee's knees, and I just would love to take home your signature to him.
I wonder what Jamie is going to feel like when he sees his grandmother on television.
As long as you don't conflict with Bugs Bunny, he'll be as proud of you as I am. Mwah. That will be Chief Mallory. He's right on time, I see. Derek, come on in.
Hello, Logan. All right, Mrs. Saxon, how nice to see
Mr. Mallory, how nice to see you again. All right, you two, have a nice evening. I'll see you later.
Okay, drive carefully, and I will give your grandson a kiss for you.
Do. Good night.
Have a nice meeting.
Good night.
Well, sir, can I fix you a drink?
Yeah, I'd love one. Just
Okay.
a soft drink, though.
We've got some ginger ale. How will that be?
Fine.
So, how's the bad guy business?
Well, let's see. The statistics came out today, and it seems the crime rate has risen.
Uh-huh.
Policeman union is threatening to strike unless I can come up with a cost of living increase in the salary.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the mayor says there isn't an extra dime in the city budget.
Well, any bad news?
Logan, it hasn't been a good day.
Oh, I can see that. You're just a barrel of laughs tonight.
On top of all of that, I've come across a very disturbing situation.
And what's that?
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. It concerns Miles Cavanaugh.
Oh, let me guess. He's, let's see, he's got about 250 parking tickets. Scofflaw, right? He gives some guys an MD plate, they think they own the streets.
I'm afraid the man is a wife beater.
Are you nuts, or you've been sampling some of the evidence of your latest drug bust?
I was at the Cavanaugh house this morning. I witnessed a highly charged argument between the two of them.
Derek, couples fight. You know that. I mean, I remember my marriage, if you don't remember yours.
He accused Nicole of having an affair with me.
You're kidding.
I wish I were kidding. The only reason I was there this morning was to take Nicole to a policeman's seminar because she was doing a story. Miles burst through the front door like a bull in a china shop.
Well, you'll excuse me if I have a little trouble believing all this.
I never thought the man was a jealous type either, but apparently he set this whole thing up.
Set it up? What do you mean?
He told Nicole he was going away for a few days, a medical convention.
Uh-huh.
He didn't go anywhere. He was waiting to see if the two of us would get together so he could have his suspicions confirmed.
Well, what makes you think he struck her?
When I left, he was still in a rage. An hour later, I find out that Nicole is in the hospital with a concussion. When I called her, she said she fell down the stairs.
But you don't believe that.
I have heard that song sung by so many wife-beating victims already. They're either too afraid or too embarrassed to tell what really happened.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Well, I hope you're not planning on pressing charges. Because even if Miles proved himself innocent, his reputation, his career, they'd be ruined.
Miles is a lucky man. Unless Nicole makes a formal complaint, there's nothing I can do about it.
Derek, I can see how your conclusion might be logical, but as a lawyer, I have to point out to you that it is not based on any kind of fact. And I personally don't think Miles would be capable of this.
Logan, you might as well face it. Miles beat his wife. My concern now is to see what I can do to keep him from doing it again. I just cannot go around from day to day thinking about Nicole getting hurt again.
Yes, of course I think it's a good story. For heaven's sake, just send Judy out with a mini-cam crew and have it covered. Fine. And next time, make the decision yourself, all right? That's what I pay you for, you idiot. Never get out of this, Judy.
Okay, well, you can go now. I will hold down the fort.
Thank you,
and
darling.
eat my dinner.
I'm not gonna go until you do one thing for me.
Sure what?
Give your mama a smile.
Oh, come on, I'm not in the mood.
Oh, darling, come on. It hurts me to see you looking so miserable.
Well, I don't exactly enjoy feeling like this.
Well, then don't. Now, look, we're all concerned about Nicole, darling, but she's going to be all right, really, and everything's going to right itself with Miles, too.
That's not all of it.
What, Draper? Oh, sweetheart, he's going to be home as soon as he gets all of his business finished.
Wonder how his meetings went.
Well, knowing Draper, I'm sure they were a great success. I'm sure he accomplished everything he set out to do. Hey, come on. You know, if I could have one wish in the whole wide world, that wish would be to always have a smile on those lips.
Now, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice. But I happen to love you very much, kiddo. Now, instructions are to cheer up. I'll be back as soon as I have my quick meeting with Joey. Bye-bye. Everything's going to be just fine.
Margot Huntington's line.
April, it's Draper.
Hi.
I just wanted you to know that my plans are changed. I'm not going to be able to get back till tomorrow afternoon.
Did you see Mrs. Henson?
I saw Mrs. Henson, nice lady. And I found out some very interesting things.
Sound upset.
Yeah, I found out who kept me from getting that job in New York City and how she did it. And it's not a very pretty story. April, it's a good thing I'm not in Monticello right now. Because if I were anywhere near Margot, I know what I'd do.
I've got to do this, Nicole. I don't know what it is that's wrong with me, but whatever it is, it's dangerous to you. I'm a danger to you. Those stitches in your forehead, I'm responsible for them. Even if I never meant to hurt you, I did. And if I stay in that house, if we stay together now, the way I am, the way I feel, I might cause something even worse. That's why I have to leave. Have to.
Yeah?
May I come in?
Oh, Nancy.
What is this? You're all dressed. What's happening?
Oh, so I've got my release from this place today.
Wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm glad I got here now. I would have missed you later.
Just waiting for April. She said she'd be here pretty soon. She's my escort.
Where's Miles?
He's at the office. He's busy. I had to cancel a half dozen appointments because of my stupid accident.
I see.
Patients come first, don't they?
Well, yes, I suppose they do. However, you are his wife. You do have priority.
Oh, well, I'm all recovered. I told him to stay at the office. I thought he should stay there because I can get home all by myself.
Doctor's office can't even find an aspirin. Yeah, what is it? He what? No, if it wasn't rescheduled, I don't want to see him. Well, tell him if it's such an emergency, you should just go to Dr. Wyckoff. I told you I don't want to see anybody today. Tell him what you like, damn it.
And then there was my knight in shining armor. You know, it's funny. That's the second time that Mike has shown up when I was with Benny Hayes. The first time I was absolutely furious with him. This time I could have kissed him. But it was frightening because Benny got violent. Luckily, though, Mike had a policeman waiting just outside the diner.
What happened to Benny?
Well, right now he's down at the city jail facing new charges.
You make this all sound like an adventure, Nancy. You could have been seriously hurt.
I was so sure I could get this story without any risks. I mean, I had promised Benny immunity. Nobody would know. But somehow Derek Mallory found out what happened, and Benny thinks that I did it.
Derek?
Yes, that's how it all started. Chief Mallory had Benny brought in and accused him of extorting money from me, so now Benny thinks that I double-crossed him.
I'm the one.
The one what?
I'm the one responsible. I
You?
told Derek. I didn't mention any names,
Nicole,
but he
how
put
could
it
you?
together.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If anything had happened to you, it would have been my fault. I'm guilty.
Look, Nicole, it isn't worth... forget it, please.
Listen, I'm just gonna go put some water on my face, okay?
Hello?
Nicole.
No, this is Miss... Is that April?
Yes, yes. Hi, Nancy. Is Nicole there?
Yes, but she's washing up right now. I understand that you're coming by for her.
Yeah, that's why I called. I was wondering whether Nicole was ready to leave right away or whether it could just wait a bit. I just got a call from Draper at the airport, and he's on his way home, and I'd like to be here when he gets here.
Yes, I understand that he went to New York to see David Henson's widow. Hmm?
Yeah, he saw her, all right, and, well, she told him everything about Margot, and needless to say, Draper is boiling mad.
Right. April, you stay there and you wait for Draper. I'll make sure that Nicole is checked out and that she gets home fine.
Could you do that? Thank you.
Yeah. You stay there. You calm him down.
Well, I'll try. I don't think I can promise anything. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Hey, look who's here. I thought you two were off in the woods somewhere.
Well, we were, but the blizzard came.
Yeah, Chicken Little here thought we should get back before the sky fell.
But you didn't have to come back here, did you?
No, we didn't. Chief Mallory did give us an extra day off, but I thought I'd just check up on things, see how they're going.
That's very conscientious of you.
It's sickening, isn't it?
Bye-bye. See you later.
We really have to come back?
Come on, Steve, we don't have to stay here very long. I just want to see what's happening with my cases.
You know, I still think it would have been a lot of fun to get snowbound. I mean, I was having a great time, weren't you?
Oh, I had a terrific time. One of the best weekends of my life.
It could have been a nice, long 3-day weekend.
Well, it could have been a 3-week weekend with the way the snow was coming down. That's why we came back.
Yeah.
But, you are going to ask me again, aren't you?
Don't know. Robbie might not give us his cabin again, you know?
I'm not talking about the cabin. I'm talking about the company.
She's the cops.
Don't get nervous. I'm not going to be angry. I know you guys are back here sooner than you're supposed to be.
Well, actually, we're not back yet, Chief. We thought we'd come back to Monticello before the snow came.
I just wanted to check out my cases.
There's one I can tell you about, your old friend Benny Hayes.
What about her?
Well, I'm pleased to announce that he is resting comfortably in one of our finest detention cells.
Don't tell me he was caught dealing again.
Now, this charge stems from that deal he had with Nancy Carr. He roughed her up a little bit yesterday.
Is she all right?
Yeah, she's all right, but now we have an extra charge of unlawful restraint to add to the other one we have against him. That should be enough for any judge to recognize he needs to spend some time in jail.
Well, I'll see what happens when you go away.
Any other good news, Chief?
No, nothing else on your cases, but I have some bad news about a friend of yours.
Yeah, who's that?
Nicole Kavanaugh.
What happened?
Nicole.
Well, I think she's all right, but she had a household accident. She fell down a flight of stairs, hit her head, knocked herself unconscious. She spent the night in the hospital. Has a few stitches on her head.
Was Miles with her when it happened?
Yes, he was.
Well, it's a good thing there's a doctor in the house. I mean, if you're going to have an accident, you might as well have a doctor in the house, right?
No, I don't know how lucky she was. I'm not even so sure it was an accident.
Why do you say that?
Because there's something very peculiar about this whole thing. Something very strange about the way Miles has been acting lately.
What do you mean?
I think there's something wrong with the guy. That's what I mean. I was at the Kavanaugh house an hour before the accident. Miles came charging into the place, throwing himself all around the room, shouting like a crazy man.
Wait a minute.
If I didn't know Miles better, I'd swear he was stoned out of his mind on drugs.
Yeah, but now that doesn't sound like the Miles Kavanaugh that I know.
He practically threw me out of the house, wouldn't allow Nicole to accompany me on a tour of police facilities for the story she was writing, and in the car on the way back to headquarters, then I hear an emergency request for an ambulance at the Kavanaugh house.
Did you go back?
Yes, but by the time I got there, she'd already been taken to the hospital. Miles was still there, as rotten a mood as before, and then there was something else. It was a broken bottle, shattered all over the place. Looked like somebody threw it across the room, hit the fireplace.
Chief, you know, you're implying that there was like a wife beating here.
Something happened there. Now, Nicole claims it was an accident, but I don't know.
Maybe I should go talk to Nicole. I'm a pretty good friend of hers. Or maybe I should see Miles.
Now, that is a good idea, Detective.
Right.
Miles, for heaven's sake, how could you say those things to Derek? How could you imply any such thing about me?
Because it's obvious, isn't it? You didn't wait 5 minutes after I was going to get your new lover over here.
My new lover? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy?
Need something different. Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Gattasi.
Well, well. Still following the same pattern, aren't you?
What pattern?
You've left Nicole, haven't you?
Yes, I had to leave.
Just like you left me.
No, it's not the same. I left because I didn't want to hurt her. I love her. God help me, I love her.
Yes, yes, I know how much you love her. I know that she's the most precious thing in the world to you. That's why it's such a pity that she doesn't love you.
Go away, Denise. Go away. Stop haunting me.
Haunting you? Oh, darling, I'm not a ghost. I'm a witch.
Welcome home. Draper, whatever it is that Margot did, don't forget that she didn't mean to hurt anyone, and don't let it come between us.
How long have you been rehearsing that speech?
If Margot had anything to do with Henson's decision, it was only because she didn't want to lose me. She didn't want to lose you. She didn't want us to move to New York where she'd never see us.
Us to New York. You knew about it, didn't you? You knew about it all the time.
About what Margot did? No, not while it was happening. It was just as much a surprise and as upsetting to me as it was to you.
You're not giving me a straight answer. Did you know that Margot got Henson to reject me for the job?
Well, what difference does it make? I mean, I didn't... Oh, my God, Draper, you don't think I had anything to do with it, do you?
I know you had nothing to do with it. But I suspected. Last night on the phone. You knew about it.
I guessed it. A long time after it happened. Margot said something about Henson's promise to her, and I just put two and two together.
Yeah. But you never bothered to tell me, did you?
How could I tell you? How could I tell you that? My own mother. God, I feel sick. Draper, Margot felt awful. I told her it was wrong. I told her she had absolutely no right to do anything like that, and she tried to make up for it, Draper. She called Henson in front of me while I was there in the office. She called him in New York.
And what did she say?
She told him that he should see you, that he should give you another chance.
Instead, the man took off for Europe.
Margot had nothing to do with that.
Listen to me, April. What Margot told Henson on that phone call, she turned around and changed on the next phone call. The same day. She lied to you, April. She put on a big show for your benefit. She called him back the same day.
No.
She told him he wasn't to see me under any circumstances. Then she blackmailed him. She said that if he even gave me an interview, she'd go straight to his wife and tell her about their affair.
I can't believe that.
It's true, April. Henson told his wife and she told me, and you want to know something else? The irony about this whole stinking mess is that Mrs. Henson knew about the affair, so the blackmail wouldn't have worked. That's because you don't want to realize what kind of woman your mother is. You don't want to believe how much she hates me. All right, I'll show you how much I can hate her, though.
God, what are you doing? Don't do anything now.
I'm not going to say anything to her, April. I'm going to wait till I see her in person.
She's not home. She went to a political meeting with Geraldine Saxon. She won't be home till sometime.
All right, I'll wait. But don't expect me to feel any differently, April. Because I'm just going to hate your mother that much more.
Saxon.
Deborah?
Yes, who is this?
It's Owen. How are you?
Owen. Where are you?
I'm at the Monticello Arms. I've been trying to get a hold of you for the last couple of days without any luck.
Someone at headquarters told me that you were out of town?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I went away for a couple of days. Well, I came back, actually, because the weather was so bad.
Well, that sounds like you're feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I am. As a matter of fact, I'm feeling a lot more like myself. Whatever it is I had is gone now.
Glad to hear it. I was wondering if you feel well enough to accept an invitation.
You should have seen the snow where I was. Oh, and it was 10 inches when we got there, and, well, by now, I guess it's at least 3 feet deep.
Wait a minute, you said we. I gather you didn't go alone, huh?
No, I didn't.
Steve was with you?
Yes, he was. We went up and stayed in a little cabin, and it was really very beautiful. We left behind an incredible snowman. Well, it's probably buried.
Deborah, listen, I had a reason for calling, actually, a rather specific reason. I have a cassette of the work print of Mansion of the Damned.
Oh, how wonderful. What did you think of it?
Well, I tell you, I'd like your opinion. So I was wondering if you and Steve would like to come over here this evening and watch it with me.
That's very thoughtful of you.
Well, come on, you've been part of the enterprise, you know. Thought you might be interested in seeing the finished product. Tell me, what do you think?
Oh, I thank you. I'd love to see it. And I'm sure Steve would, too.
Hey, Doc. Doc, it's Steve Dutcher. Well, Doc, you don't have a reception on you. Doc? Doc. Oh, Doc. I don't know. I've never seen him drink more than 1 or 2 at a party or something. Nothing in excess. Maybe he's just upset about his wife.
Yeah, well, it must be that. Steve, this is strange. I mean, he's a doctor. If anybody found out he was drunk.
We both know he's not an alcoholic. Maybe he just felt like tying one on. You know, we're all privileged to that, you know.
All right, what are you going to do about it?
I guess I'll put him in my car and take him home.
No. No.
Wait a minute. He's coming around. Listen, I'll call you later.
Wait a minute, Steve. I wanted to tell you something. Owen just called me a couple of minutes ago.
He did.
Uh-huh. He wants us to come over to his hotel room at the Monticello Arms and see the Mansion of the Damned.
He wants both of us to come over.
Yeah. And I thought, well, there's no reason why we shouldn't, is there?
No. No, there isn't.
Okay.
Okay, I've been dying to see that movie.
Terrific.
I have to go back to my place first.
All right, I'll meet you there then. Bye.
Doc. Doc, come on. Come on, let's get up.
Go home. Moved out.
Well, where's home? Oh, never mind. Come on. Come on. All right, get up. Where's your coat? I'm gonna put your coat on. There. Come on. See you stand.
I'm sorry, Doc. I'm sorry, Doc.
Don't worry about it, Doc. Look. Stand up. Give me a coat. Look, you've helped me out plenty of times. You put your coat on, get you in the car, take you over to my place, and take a nice, long nap. Huh? What do you say about that? There you go. You have to stay by yourself, because I'm going to go see a picture, Mansion of the Damned.
Watch out for witches, Steve.
Sure. Anything you say.
Watch out for witches. You gotta tell Deborah this, too. Tell her to watch out for the one next door.
Next door?
Corey. Mrs. Corey. Tell Deborah, don't let her come near, okay? Really, don't.
Sure.
It's Nola Madison. It's Nola Madison, Steve. It's one and the same person, so you gotta tell Deborah, all right? You gotta tell her. Tell her, all right?
Yeah. Sure. Come on.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind, and frustrated days pass without sight, the edge of night, half dark, half light, as we watch our hearts trying to hold the tenderness that we once had